What's good, everyone? This is Monaro and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to cover chapters 32 to 39. Hope you enjoy. Margaery is fuming at Cersei and her council that the throne must respond at once to the Iron Men's attack on the Shield Islands. Cersei does not appreciate the young queen's tone and claims that it must fall to Highgarden to retake these rocks. Loras Tyrell interjects as his sister sees, stating that his brothers Willis and Garland have the men but not the ships to win back the islands. He requests that Cersei pull Lord Redwine's fleet from their siege of Dragonstone so they may return to gather troops at the Arbor. The Queen Regent denies his request, implying that the Red Wine fleet would not depart until Dragonstone fell. Knowing that Lord Paxter intended to starve them out, so Loras asks leave to lead the assault and promises Cersei Dragonstone within a fortnight. Pleased by this unexpected gift, Cersei grants him permission. Returning to her apartments, Pycelle objects to her sending Loras, but Cersei is hoping the knight will die besieging the walls of Dragonstone. But if not, she would still strike a blow against Stannis. When she meets Qyburn, he mentions that he has a champion to replace Loras should he fall. Cersei is not sure of Qyburn's paragon and informs him that the smiths she hired believe the weight of the armor he requested cannot be borne by a human. Later in bed, Lady Taena asks her certain questions. Cersei becomes concerned the woman may report her answers to Margaery, but Taena assures her that all her secrets are safe. However, their chat is interrupted by a guard pounding at her door with word that Falyse Stokeworth begged to see her. Cersei finds the woman battered and listens to the tale of her husband's death. After Bronn defeated him in single combat, but before killing him, Bronn forced Sir Balman to confess who put him up to this. Bronn then told Falyse to leave immediately or meet the same fate. When Falyse told her mother's guards to arrest Bronn, they laughed and told her to listen to Lord Stokeworth. Fearful that Falyse would spread rumors of Cersei's involvement, Cersei summons Lord Qyburn so that he could take another female subject to his lab in the Black Cells. Back in her room, a very inebriated Cersei contemplates how to deal with Bronn and then begins to fondle Taena, claiming her rights as queen the way Robert would do to her when he was drunk. Reaching the camps besieging Riverrun, Jaime meets with his cousin Sir Davin. The new Warden of the West spits when he discovers that it was Vargo Holt who had Jaime's hand amputated, informing him that he offered Tywin to forage for Holt, but he refused, saying that some tasks are fit for lions, but foraging is best left for goats and dogs. Davin reveals how much the Freys are vexing him, and even their own uncle Aemon Frey is trying his patience, complaining that he doesn't want his new seat destroyed by a siege. Worst of all is Sir Ryman, who keeps tying a noose around Edmure Tully's neck each morning, threatening the Blackfish that he means to hang him unless Riverrun surrenders. However, the Blackfish has long exposed Ryman's threat to be empty. They speak of Lancel and his abandonment of Darry, which reminds Jaime of the looks on Amy's family's faces when Lancel made his intentions clear. He is all too aware of how Lord Walder deals with those who break Frey marriage proposals. Davin tells the Lord Commander that their Uncle Kevin passed through the camps heading west. He also mentions that Edmure's wife Rosalind is pregnant, and oddly she is fond of the dispossessed Lord of Riverrun. He also tells Jaime of Lord Gawain Westerling constantly hounding him to rescue his wife and children, who are being held captive by Sir Brynden Tully. Jaime is perturbed to learn how little help they are receiving from the bannermen of the Tullys, who bent the knee to the Iron Throne after the Red Wedding. He realizes that he must secure Riverrun quickly to put down any threat of rebellion. Starving them out would take far too long. The next morning, Jaime is considering a parley with Sir Brynden and recalls when he was a squire of Sumner Crakehall sent to Riverrun with a message. Lord Hoster seated Jaime next to Lysa, but the young man was far more interested in Lysa's famous uncle, the Blackfish. Within sight of the walls of Riverrun, Jaime has his tent pitched and soon receives a visit from his Aunt Jenna and her husband Aemon Frey. Jenna is still a Lannister through and through, with the wit and sharp tongue also shared by all of Lord Tywin's children. Jaime lies to them that their son Cleos died bravely, and then listens to Aemon's complaints about a siege damaging his castle. Jaime enlightens Aemon to the fact that he was named Lord of Riverrun, but Peter Baelish is the Lord Paramount of the Trident. Aemon is outraged to learn he is a vassal of Peter, but Jaime is unconcerned as there is nothing he can do about it, and Cersei won't indulge someone like Aemon Frey. Jenna tells Aemon to leave so she can speak in private with her nephew. Lady Jenna makes it known how she feels about Queen Cersei rearming the Faith, namely that the decision is idiotic given the trouble the Faith militant caused the Targaryens before they were finally put down and disbanded. Cersei's choice of counselors, in particular, rejecting her brother Kevan's hand, and Lancel's foolish decision to leave behind his lordship. When Jaime remarks that he plans to treat with Sir Brynden, his aunt tells him that he would be better off beheading Edmure. But Jaime feels this may further the Blackfish's resolve and would sooner assault the walls of Riverrun if a parley will not work. At last, they discuss Lord Tywin, and Jaime asks her if she loved her eldest brother. Lady Jenna tells him how it was Tywin, a boy of only 10, who objected to their Lord Father's decision to wed the 7-year-old Jenna to Aemon Frey, who was not even the heir to the twins. For that alone, she loved him, stating, "Every little girl needs a big brother to protect her. Who will protect us now?" When Jaime insists that he is his father's son, his aunt replies, "You smile like Jerian and fight like Tig, and there's some of Kevan in you, else you would not wear that cloak. But Tyrion is Tywin's son, not you." Acclimated to the routine of Cat of the Canals, Arya is learning the Braavosi tongue and trying to learn 3 new things every time she is sent forth from the House of Black and White, as the kindly man told her she must. Selling clams by day, she sleeps in a bed with Brusco's daughters by night, and for 3 days during each black moon, she returns to the House of Black and White. She delivers all 3 things the kindly man wants her to learn, but he still sends her back to Brusco. He tells her of the many-faced God, especially how all religions are aware of him, even if they do not worship him. Even within the 7 there exists the stranger, whom the kindly man calls him of many faces. One night when the black moon begins, she meets Darian after he departs the happy port. Arya is angered by the singer's abandonment of his vows as a black brother. Returning to Brusco's, she gives him the coin she has collected selling his mollusk and a pair of new boots, then heads to the House of Black and White for her 3 nights. The waif teaches her how to identify certain poisons, like sweet sleep and the tears of Lys, and then tells her the full story of how she came to the temple. She claims to be the eldest child from an ancient house, but when her stepmother had a true daughter, the woman tried to poison the waif. When her father discovered this, he delivered 2/3 of his wealth to the House of Black and White, and soon after, his second wife was dead and the waif now a servant in the temple. She reveals that she lied about part of that tale, but before Arya can guess which part, the kindly man visits her. She tells him the 3 new things she has learned, finishing with the knowledge that Darion is dead, his throat was slit, and his body dumped in the canal. When the kindly man asks who killed him, she replies, "Arya of House Stark." The priest again asks her who she is, to which she answers, "No one." But as always, he tells her she lies, and then asks the waif to bring Arya some more milk to help her sleep. Arya goes to bed, but upon awakening in the morning, she discovers that she is blind. The cinnamon wind is somewhere off the coast of Dorne as Sam leads a prayer service to mourn the passing of Aemon Targaryen. Zondo's information on the 3 dragons had given Maester Aemon a second wind, but it was not enough. Sam recalls some of the ancient Maester's words during the sea voyage from Braavos. "No one ever looked for a girl. It was a prince that was promised. Rhaegar, I thought. The error crept in from the translation. Dragons are neither male nor female. Daenerys is the one, born amid salt and smoke. Lady Melisandre has misread the signs. Stannis has some of the dragon blood in him. Yes, Raelle, Egg's little girl. She was how they came by it. They must send her a maester. Daenerys must be counseled, taught, protected. Aemon begged Sam to convince the archmaesters of this, and later rambled some of the following, perhaps prophetic lines. A glass candle that could not be lit. Eggs that would not hatch. The Sphinx was the riddle, not the Riddler. Gilly and Sam sit together after the eulogy drinking rum. Gilly points out that had Aemon remained on the wall, Melisandre might have sacrificed him for his king's blood. Jon must have known this and sent the old maester as well as Dalla's boy to save them from the Red Woman's fires. Gilly then says that she will name the boy Aemon Stillsong once he reaches the age of 2. Below decks, Sam and Gilly have sex, although he is consumed by guilt for forsaking his vows. Afterwards, Sam tries to avoid Gilly, but Koja corners him and tells him that what he and Gilly did was considered holy in the Summer Islands, a way of honoring the dead by celebrating life. Koja advises Sam that Gilly knows they can never be man and wife, but there was nothing wrong with them comforting each other on the long journey. Sam is persuaded, but perhaps it is because Koja threatens to throw him overboard if he does not continue sleeping with Gilly. Lord Orraine Waters has returned from Dragonstone with news that the fortress has fallen. This was good news indeed, considering that word from the Reach mentioned the Ironmen raiding the Arbor and pushing towards Old Town. Orraine indicates that Sir Loras was grievously wounded during the assault and lay dying after having had boiling oil poured on him from the walls. He also holds Loras responsible for turning the battle into a massacre, as thousands of the Crown's soldiers died in the storming of Dragonstone's keep, many of them knights or lords. Ecstatic, Cersei had to deliver the news personally to Margaery. The young queen is appalled by Cersei's description of the fate of her brother, and commands Cersei to get out of her quarters. Back in her solar, 4 separate men bring word of a dwarf sighting, and one brings her ahead. However, none of them bear word related to Tyrion, and Cersei sends them away in frustration. Later in court, Cersei must deal with several unimportant pleas, and then Septon Reynard arrives. Furious that the High Septon himself did not come before her, she scoffs at his words that the faith is trying to abolish the brothels in the city. Pycelle brings word that Lord Giles may not live much longer, but Cersei demands that the Grand Maester do his utmost to keep the old man alive. At dinner with her son, Tommen mentions that Margaery has been urging him to attend court, to which Cersei responds how much she'd like to see the young queen's tongue torn out. Tommen yells at his mother, but she commands Sir Boros to chastise the boy king's whipping boy. During the night, Cersei dreams of her visit to the Woods Witch back when she was 10 years old. She vividly recalls Maggie the Frog's plea that they leave her, but Cersei and Melara will not back down. Maggie commands them to cut open their thumbs, and the old Easterner tastes their blood. She prophesies that Cersei would marry the king, not the prince as Cersei thought, but her husband would father 16 children and Cersei only 3, and that she would reign as queen only until there comes another, younger, more beautiful to cast you down and take all that you hold dear. Gold shall be their crown and gold their shrouds, and when your tears have drowned you, the Valonqar shall wrap his hands about your pale white throat and choke the life from you. Maggie also warned that Melara will die very soon, and true enough, she drowns in a well shortly after. Waking from the nightmare, she sends for Pycelle to make her a potion that permits sleep without dreams. She asks him if seeing the future is possible, but the old maester evades answering by saying, "Should our morrows be foretold?" And to that I should answer, no. Some doors are best left closed. Aggravated, She sends for Qyburn first, asking if Felice was still capable of being used to root out Bronn, but the necromancer tells her it is too late for that. Then she inquires of him the same she had asked of Pycelle. We learn that Maggie was from the Far East and had married a wealthy merchant. Their son was upjumped to a petty lord by Cersei's grandfather. Qyburn tells her that the name Maggie was probably a mispronunciation of Magi, and that blood magic was very powerful. The dechained maester suggests that she already knew how to forestall the prophecy. Seizing upon this suggestion, Cersei plans a foolproof way to have Margaery killed. Deciding that treason would work best, the next day she inquires of Sir Osmond if his brother Osney could defeat Sir Boros in single combat. He replies that it wouldn't even be a match, and wonders if Boros has committed treason. Cersei replies no, but thinks to herself, but Osney has. Approaching the inn at the crossroads, Brienne's party encounters many corpses hanging from trees, each with a chunk of rock salt in their mouths. They surmise that these were some of the men responsible for the raid on salt pans, probably hanged by Lord Beric's outlaw band. Reaching the inn, they meet 4 girls on the porch, and the oldest addresses them. She asks for silver for a night's lodging, stating the only visitors they get are either sparrows or robbers or worse. When Sir Hyle makes an inquiry regarding her tone, the smith approaches and Brienne is nearly floored by his resemblance to Renly. Inside, Brienne plans to leave before dawn with Podrick only, although she is unsure where to go. At dinner, Septon Maribald leads a prayer, but Gendry does not participate and returns to his forge. One of the orphan boys tells the Septon that it is because he worships the Lord of Light. Brienne delivers some food to Gendry and mentions his resemblance to King Robert, but they are interrupted by riders drawing near. Gendry says they are friends, but when Brienne peeks out, she recognizes Biter among the 7 men. The leader wearing the helm of Sandor Clegane threatens to kill Willow if she fires her crossbow. Brienne draws Oathkeeper and intercedes. One of the men says that they were wounded and seek only fresh horses, for they are being chased by outlaws. But the large man wearing the hound's helm charges Brienne, remembering her well. She makes short work of him, running him through with Oathkeeper as she whispers, "Sapphires," as Rorge dies. But she is blindsided by Biter, who tackles her to the ground. The huge cannibal smashes her in the face, breaking bones, and then shatters her forearm. She hears the sounds of swords clashing in the background, but then Biter takes a bite out of her face. Her last vision is Biter's thumb sticking out obscenely long, almost like it were a sword. Sir Jaime and Sir Brynden face each other across the drawbridge to Riverrun, alone for a parley during the siege of Riverrun. The Blackfish is aware of the oath Jaime swore to Catelyn, but the member of the Kingsguard makes it known he does not have the Stark girls. He offers Edmure Tully in exchange for Lady Sybil Spicer and her children, but Brynden refuses, telling him he swore to his king to keep his wife safe and won't hand her over to a Frey noose. Jaime responds that the girl has been pardoned and no harm will come to her, nor anyone else if Brynden yields Riverrun. They will be free to go or take the Black as they choose, but Brynden dismisses the offer, claiming that he and his men would rather die with swords in their hands than be paraded through King's Landing to die like Eddard Stark. Brynden adds that he is well provisioned for a siege, and the Lannister and Frey casualties will be far higher than his own if they storm Riverrun. The Blackfish also makes it clear that he believes Lord Tywin had a hand in the Red Wedding, though that will never absolve the Freys for their breach of the sacred laws of hospitality. Jaime challenges the older knight to single combat, with each choosing a champion. When Brynden prods Jaime to face him himself, Jaime cannot help but rise to the bait. But the Blackfish is not so foolish as to trust that Jaime's terms would be honored. The parley over, Jaime rides back to his camp and calls his captains for a wall council, resolved that he must break his vow to Lady Catelyn and storm Riverrun. The lords of the Riverlands, who have bent the knee to the Iron Throne, do not tolerate the Frey's presence at the war council. Sir Ryman is too drunk to attend, but Edwin and Bastard Walder are present. When confronted by Lord Clement Piper as to the condition of his son, Sir Mark, Edwin replies that he is still held at the twins to ensure that Pink Maiden is truly loyal to the Iron Throne. When Bastard Walder and Lord Clement nearly come to blows when Piper challenges Edwin to a duel over the threat to Lord Clement's heir, Jaime silences them, ending the council prematurely. Lord Clement storms out, and Lord Vance explains to Jaime that as well as his firstborn son, several of Lord Clement's cousins and nephews accompanied Mark to the twins, and are either captives or dead. When Edwin denounces them as traitors and rebels, Jaime coldly retorts that the Freys first rebelled against the crown with Robb Stark, and then betrayed him, making them twice the traitors House Piper are. Jaime takes enjoyment out of watching Edmund's smug attitude evaporate at that remark. Summoning Sir Ilan Payne and Sir Lyle Crakehall, Jaime heads straight for the Frey camp. He first has Payne cut loose Edmure Tully, and when Edwin and his father, Sir Ryman, come forth to protest, he warns them to keep quiet. When Ryman persists, stating that he is the heir to the crossing, Jaime punches him in the face with his golden hand. He then dismisses Ryman back to the twins, sick of the man's whoring and drinking, and takes the bladed crown that his whore wears. When Jaime places Edwin in charge of the Freys, Jaime witnesses a glimpse of the contempt Edwin feels for his own father. Jaime also demands that Lord Walder release all the hostages that he has imprisoned at the twins. Jaime asks that Sir Ryman Singer accompany him back to his pavilion, and has his squires draw a bath for Edmure. Jaime informs Edmure that he will be returned to Riverrun forthwith, and if he yields the castle, all will end well for him. The terms are that the small folk can stay and serve Lord Emmon Frey. Sir Brynden will be permitted to take the Black along with any of the garrison who choose the same, and Edmure and his pregnant wife Rosin will be well-treated prisoners at Casterly Rock. If their child is a boy, Jaime says he will serve House Lannister as a page and squire, and they will grant the boy some lands when he gets his knighthood. If it is a girl, the Lannisters will make sure she has a good dowry when she is old enough to wed. When Edmure asks what will happen should he refuse to yield, Sir Jaime indicates that he will assault Riverrun's walls in waves, sending the ex-Tully bannermen first as fodder, then the Freys, and finally his cousin Davin's Westermen, and he would demolish Riverrun and put all within its walls to the sword. As Jaime leaves the tent, commanding Ryman Singer to play the Reigns of Castamere for Edmure, the former Lord of Riverrun pleads, "No, not him! Get him away from me!" With Pycelle prostrate before her, Cersei accuses him of letting Giles Rosby die, because she believes he is now taking orders from Margaery. The Grand Maester denies this, explaining that he visits the young queen to give her sleeping potions, but Cersei knows otherwise. Forcing a confession from him that he also brings Margaery moon tea, she then commands him to announce that Lord Rosby's dying wish was to donate all of his lands and incomes to the crown. Lady Tywin wonders how Margaery could be so foolish, but Cersei is too excited to care. She does not realize that she will need more proof in order to have Margaery executed for treason, knowing that she must arrange to have the girl caught in the act. She asks Taina and her husband to bring the Blue Bard to dinner that night. During the meal, Cersei demotes Sir Harris Swift to Lord Treasurer, and with the position of hand now vacant, she offers the title to Lord Orton Merryweather. Lord Orton accepts, although he is notably uncomfortable during the dinner, particularly due to the presence of Margaery's favorite singer. Cersei wastes little time moving on to the Blue Bard, accusing him of sleeping with Queen Margaery. The singer denies it, despite Cersei smashing him in the face with his own lute, and even later in the Black Cells under interrogation by Qyburn. But the defrocked maester tortures the singer into submission, and they lead him to say what they want. He accuses several others of also having carnal knowledge of Margaery, and then Cersei promises that he will be allowed to take the Black after he confesses in front of the court. Later, Taina persuades Cersei to name Allah as innocent, since they may be able to use her to bear witness against Margaery and her other cousins. At breakfast, Tommen mentions that Margaery will be at the Sept for Maiden's Day. Cersei then launches the final move of her scheme, commanding Sir Osney to go before the High Septon and admit his sins of bedding Margaery, Eleanor, and Megha. The youngest Kettle Black agrees to do so, but states, "The best lies have some truth in 'em, to give 'em flavor, as it were." So the Queen Regent then allows him to have his way with her. Well, that's it, everyone. Thank you for stopping by and watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to come back for more. Again, thank you for watching. Bye.